Go back to Africa. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to talk.
You will not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions. The revolution will not show you pictures of Nixon blowing a bugle and leading a charge.
What's up, interwebs? It is your boy Christian, host of Berean Talk, coming at you with another video today. This is not a camera error. This is actually me growing my hair out. I'm getting a little afro. I look like, you know, I'm on my Fred Hampton joint right now. For those of you that don't know who that is, he's like one of the greatest Americans ever. But look him up, real patriot. But anyways, I'm making this video today to address something that, number one, I said I was going to make an episode about it, and I am. Here's the episode. You're tuned into it right now. For those of you all that don't know, so on July 4th, 2020, which is a few months back, I made a post on Instagram because I would like to say that I was righteously indignant, but I was definitely enraged about, and every year I'm enraged about the 4th of July because of what it stands for and what had to happen in order for the 4th of July to even be in existence, and how hypocritical the 4th of July is. Of course, that angered me, especially because of what my connection is to it. I made a post, and in doing so, I had the 4th of July, or I said happy 4th of July, and had the American flag turned upside down. Almost in a sense like a protest of the holiday and kind of what it stood for, and even having a protest against the flag. Of course, a lot of people were upset. Some people thought what I did was, you know, great, right on, brother. You know, it was different. I find it interesting, the diversity in my social media. I got people from both ends of the spectrum and everything in between. But I made that post, and one gentleman in particular did not find my post very patriotic, and proceeded to write this comment right here that you all can read. But just to, you know, just to sum it up, was basically like, don't throw a pity party. Disrespecting the flag isn't going to do anything for you. You shouldn't disrespect the flag. And on top of that, go back to Africa if you don't like it here so much. Now, in a sense, right? I'm not going to lie to y'all. And I originally read that. I was ready to fight, because the only time I had ever heard the statement "go back to Africa" was in a movie remaking the Jim Crow era, like Ruby Bridges or Mississippi Burning, or shoot, I don't know, 12 Years a Slave. Like just something where a movie where you see white people making outlandishly racist statements. I say outlandishly racist statements for today, but also I'm not going to act like that wasn't, like, you know, not that long ago. Like, my grandparents grew up during that era. They know what that's like, to be told to go back to Africa, to be called every name under the sun except for a son or a daughter of God. I digress, though. But I read that, and I was very upset for about, I wanted to say 10 seconds, but really it was about 2 minutes. But then I thought, to myself, why would somebody say that? And more specifically, why would a believer say that to me? That sounds pretty racist. And I thought about it, because I'm trying to learn how to be empathetic. I'm trying to understand somebody else's side of the story, try to understand the reasoning behind why people say and do certain things, so I don't just demonize people that don't necessarily agree with me, right? That's a sign of maturity. I'm working on it. And when I thought about it, just for a second, I said, it makes sense. You know, if you don't like it here, why don't you just leave? But that would make sense if I wasn't American. And when I say that, I mean, if I was Asian, if I was somebody that came over from Asia and said the things that I say, you could say that and it would make sense. If I was somebody from Africa and you said those things and I said those things and you responded that way, that would make sense. But to say that to an American who is, I don't know how many generations in, that's how long I've been here, it doesn't make sense. It's kind of dumb, actually. I would say that I myself have no connection to Africa outside of, at some point, somebody that I was related to a long time ago was there. A long time ago. But being that I'm American, because I was born in the United States. My parents were born in the United States. My grandparents were born in the United States. My great-grandparents were born in the United States. And my great-great-grandparents were born in the United States. These are facts that I actually know. That's not just an assumption or something to exaggerate and drive in a point. I actually know that. We're very, very American. Involuntary Americans, but we're American. And so let me give you the first problem with that statement. Number one, I'm American. So to tell me to go back to Africa doesn't make sense. I'm not from Africa. That'd be like me telling you to go back to Asia. You're not Asian. The person that wrote this statement was an American of European descent. They're not from Asia. Or for me to tell them to go back to Scotland. That would be weird because they're not from Scotland. They're from Texas. They're not from Texas. I'm just throwing out states. That is the first problem that I have with that statement. And for those of you all that know or should know by now, I refer to myself as ADOS. ADOS is two things that I need everybody that watches this channel to understand. And I will continue to say it because new people will probably be coming all the time. And even the people that have been here for a while, you should probably already know. ADOS means two things. Number one, it is an acronym for American Descendants of Slavery. It is where I come from. It is my heritage, and I'm very proud of that heritage, not necessarily being the descendant of human trafficking victims and Holocaust survivors, but being the descendant of survivors, people that are strong-spirited, people that I know of were probably very prayed up in order for them to have ancestors that made it this far in life in order to keep on fighting the fight for justice in the biblical sense, not the social justice sense. But number two, ADOS is also a grassroots movement that I am proudly a part of, that has been co-founded by Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore. That's just something I need you all to understand. So the second thing that's wrong with that statement is Black people, ADOS, we are the most loyal, most patriotic group of Americans in the United States ever, period. I'm not saying that out of favoritism. I'm not saying that out of arrogance. I'm saying that out of just an objective condition. If you can be a victim of human trafficking from 1619 to 1865, then for 7 years, get all of your own stuff. Then in 1877, to have all of those rights and privileges and rights to citizenship revoked. Then to be put back into slavery up until like the 1940s. Then to still deal with Jim Crow and everything else. And during that entire time, fighting every major American war to be the base for the economics of this country, and to still say the Pledge of Allegiance, to still stand up for the national anthem, even though it has nothing to do with us. It actually does, read the second stanza, but it doesn't mean anything to us in terms of something we should be proud of. So what I want to say to the person that wrote that, and anybody else that wants to say something like that, agree with that statement, don't you dare ever tell another ADOS person to go back to Africa. As a matter of fact, if you can remember where your people come from, meaning if you can tell me, oh yeah, my great-great-grandmother was from Italy, or my great-grandmother was from Germany, or my great so-and-so uncles, da-da-da-da-da, came from whatever country. If you can say that, I automatically outrank you in terms of being grandfathered into this country. I'm automatically more American than you, period. And to tell you something about my family that I know of has fought in every war since World War I. Probably even the Civil War, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But since World War I. Less than 100 years ago, my family, on my mother's side, owned an over 200-acre farm in North Carolina. The reason that most of my mother's side lives now in D.C. is because they were ran off of that over 200-acre farm by the Ku Klux Klan. I myself, in my family, on both sides actually, in the first generation to not go into the military. My parents weren't in the military, but they have siblings that were. My grandparents were in the military. Great-grandparents and all of that. My grandfather was a Vietnam veteran. Soldier of Valor, double Purple Heart recipient, who then came home to be a corrections officer. He was a corrections officer for many years. After that, due to, a lot of different circumstances and losing his youngest son in a drunk driving accident where a diplomat's son was involved who never spent a day in jail. And after also losing his wife, he then got sick. And even though he probably could have lived a little while longer, the VA murdered him by pulling the plug on him. It's what America does to their soldiers, to the people that fight for them, fight for freedom, because that's what the flag is all about. And I knew my grandfather, by the way, but he was murdered by the people that he protected. So why do I say all of that? Because it is asinine, it is callous and worm-like to even suggest to me that I'm ungrateful. It is a cowardice suggestion to tell me to leave what my grandparents fought for, my great-grandparents, my great-great-grandparents, what they fought for. It is a spineless suggestion to tell me to leave what has been battled over for me. And it's still being battled over. And it's now my time and my turn and my generation's turn to take up the mantle to finish what should have been ended a long time ago. ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going anywhere. My people aren't going anywhere. We are coming to get what is ours. Reparations is not social justice. Reparations is justice in the biblical sense. What we're owed in this country is a debt. It's a debt that America was supposed to give a long time ago, was supposed to pay for a long time ago. And there's something to be said about people that don't keep their word. Something to be said about people that are oppressors and exploiters. So that's all I wanted to say. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. It's getting kind of dark. I had to do this video in my car because I don't have any kind of studio set up yet. But I hope you all enjoyed it. Got some insights and maybe even hopefully were rebuked a little bit if you agree with the sentiment of me going back to Africa or anybody like me going back to Africa. I got more videos coming for you soon. I got projects that I'm working on that I really want to let you guys know about, that I'll be letting you guys know about very soon. But until my next appearance on the interwebs, pieces and blessings. I'm out. The revolution will not be televised.